Alright everyone, we started off today praising Texas because it defortified its election system, which means now Texas elections will be fair. They also got constitutional carry. I think that at this point the writing is on the wall, and constitutional carry is now in like 13 states. It'll eventually be before SCOTUS, and I expect them to make it nationwide, because it's clear the right to bear arms does not end at your doorstep. I don't think that any reasonable interpretation of the Constitution would say that. However, they also have a fetal heartbeat bill that I deeply oppose on multiple grounds. First and foremost, I'm pro-choice. Most of you know that. Mainly, I base it on I don't want the government making such decisions. It's a personal decision. Fuck the government. The government shouldn't have anything to say about decisions that one makes with regards to their body. And yes, I know, well, it's a life. Hey, the fetus is a person. Okay, beyond that subjective argument that will literally never be settled among people, we can settle the argument over whether it's a good idea for the state to be able to force a person to have a baby. That's the long and short of it for that side. The pragmatic side, though, in this case is actually arguably more important. If you know anything about the history of abortion, you'll know that people got abortions anyway in states where it was illegal. It used to be called a clothes hanger abortion. Now, what it really is simulating a miscarriage, or stimulating it. You puncture your cervix, you start bleeding, you go to the doc, well, I know abortion's legal, but this is a medical emergency. The problem is the Texas bill also includes the medical emergency provision. They've just gone back to the pre-Roe v. Wade era on abortion, where instead of it being provided in a safe environment, it's prefaced on someone who probably doesn't know anything about sterilizing medical instruments, shoving a clothes hanger or a pin or something in their vagina. That doesn't seem safe to me. I think this might cause some cases of sterility. I think it might cause some cases of sepsis and or of weird psychological disorders as well. Also, an overwhelming considerable proportion, an outsized proportion, of the sort of unplanned pregnancies that end in abortion, people who already have kids, they're older, they got a career, and they kind of got it going on. That's actually number one. Or people who are too young to fucking take care of the kid. Look at the economy right now. That's like half the population. Well, no, I mean, the problem is if they have a kid, or 2 or 3 kids or whatever, they end up on public assistance. I love it when fiscal conservatives that want to slash the tax rate also want to have millions of additional children that are going to need welfare. That makes a whole lot of sense. I realize that that's sort of pragmatic and they subjugate it to the ethical side, but the thing is, you're not actually preventing abortions by passing this. You're just preventing them from being safe. You may kind of disenfranchise and inconvenience people who want an abortion. Also, in this day and age, anyone that's within 100 miles of the Texas border, if they're of any means at all, they'll take a day off from work and they'll just drive to an abortion clinic in another state. So you haven't stopped the abortion, so the ethical side doesn't really come in because the abortion still occurred. All you've done is make it less safe, potentially, depending on where they are in Texas and their socioeconomic class. You've made it less safe, maybe more expensive and inconvenient. You haven't accomplished anything. The abortion still occurred. And when they do occur, in some cases, again, among the more poor, especially in the interior of the state, and there's a lot of poverty in Trailerville in the middle of Texas, by the way, millions of people, these people will puncture their cervixes or read on the internet, hey, if you take enough aspirin, maybe the baby will miscarry, and they'll die or they'll end up sterile. Well, woo, huzzah, you've really solved a major societal issue. See, here's the problem, is the pragmatic side of it. Then you get to the part where it probably doesn't get upheld by the courts anyway. Do you honestly think that they wouldn't be able to, the SCOTUS, in its current incarnation, with 4 liberals and then swing Justice Kavanaugh, do you not think that in a 5-4 they're not likely to shoot this down and say, look, you can't ban a person from having an abortion at just fucking 6 weeks because a large proportion of people don't even realize they're pregnant until at least 4, and people have fucking jobs and shit to do. You've got an open-ended subjective cultural debate about personhood with regards to the fetus. Well, is it at the quickening? Is it at the heartbeat stage? Is it when it has its first dream? Is it when it's kind of trying to breathe the amniotic fluid? At what point does personhood in the civic sense begin? That debate will rage forever because it's completely subjective and based on a human conceptualization of what is or is not moral. What we can observe, historically speaking, is that the abortions will still happen. They'll be less safe and more inconvenient for people, but they'll still occur, so you haven't saved any of those precious fetuses. If anything, you've just taken people who don't want to have a baby, given them a baby, and now they get a bunch of public assistance. Yeah, that won't be a broken home at all that I have to fucking pay for with my taxes. I hate to say it, but at some point it just boils down to both individual autonomy, individual pragmatism, and cultural pragmatism. I oppose this completely. I think it's dumb, and I think that SCOTUS will shoot it down the second they take the case. The Democrats are so livid about it. They're like, oh, why didn't they already do that? They should injunct. Well, no, they're going to get the case, and they're probably going to throw it out. And if they don't, I mean, I don't know what they'll be smoking that day. I guess, well, D.C. weed is legal there, so you never know. It would explain their decision years ago with regards to upholding the ACA, at least. So, but yeah, so Texas is 2-on-1 for the day. Constitutional carry, excellent. Voter for defortification, excellent. Fetal heartbeat bill will likely not stand up to the litmus test of it being a reasonable regulation of abortion at the state level. Probably won't stand up, probably gets thrown out, thus wasting even more time and litigation and so forth, and taxpayer money at that level as well, and then forming essentially a hard cap on abortion regulation, on restrictions on abortion. As the state of Texas taking the fore and potentially setting up to lose a case that has ramifications for a number of other red states as well. And it won't even be effective. It's not going to stop abortion. It'll just make it less safe, and it'll mean a lot more sterility and unplanned pregnancies that go forth, and then you have unwanted single mom babies that are on welfare for the rest of their lives. What a wonderful world. That's about all. Peace out.